My beloved brothers and sisters, there are moments in life when you feel surrounded, you are misunderstood, you are falsely accused, you are hurt by words you never deserved. You try to defend yourself, but the more you speak, the worse it becomes. And in those painful moments, you ask yourself, why is this happening to me? But what if I told you that not every battle is yours to fight? Sometimes Allah allows you to step back because He wants to step in. There are battles you fight with your tongue, and there are battles Allah fights with His power. And when Allah takes over your battle, no human being can stand against you. We live in a world where everyone wants to respond immediately. Someone insults you, you respond. Someone backbites you, you expose them. Someone hurts you, you plan revenge. But the believer pauses. The believer remembers that Allah sees what people hide. Allah hears what people whisper. Allah knows what people whisper. Allah knows what people plot. And when you choose patience over reaction, you are not weak. You are strong, because patience is not passive. Patience is powerful. Patience is you saying, Ya Allah, I trust you more than I trust my emotions. There were people before you who were harmed, oppressed, and betrayed. But when they placed their trust in Allah, He opened doors no one expected. Sometimes He exposed the liar without the victim saying a word. Sometimes He removed the oppressor in ways beyond imagination. Sometimes He raised the status of the one who was humiliated. You see, when you try to control everything, you exhaust yourself. But when you hand it over to Allah, you free yourself. Tawakkul, true reliance, is not laziness. It is doing what you can in a halal way and leaving what you cannot to the one who controls all hearts. It is understanding that justice belongs to Allah. It is believing that even if people don't see your truth today, Allah has already written your vindication. How many times have you lost sleep over people who were never worth your peace? How many times have you cried over rumors, over lies, over betrayal? And yet, look at you. You are still here. Allah carried you through battles you thought would destroy you. Sometimes the greatest victory is not proving yourself right. It is maintaining your character while others lose theirs. When you refuse to respond with hatred, Allah responds with protection. When you refuse to seek revenge, Allah promises justice. And when Allah defends you, He does not do it partially, He does it perfectly. Maybe today you are in a storm. Maybe people are against you. Maybe your name is being dragged through the mud. Stay calm, stay patient, clean your heart, make your sujud longer, cry to Allah in the darkness of the night. Because when you complain to people, you get sympathy. But when you complain to Allah, you get solutions. Remember this, Allah does not delay justice. He times it perfectly. The one who hurt you may think they won. The one who lied about you may feel powerful. But the believer knows something they don't know. Allah is the best of planners. And when Allah fights your battles, the outcome is always better than what you imagined. So today, let go. Not because you don't care, but because you trust. Let Allah handle what is beyond you. Protect your salah. Guard your tongue. Keep your heart clean. And watch how Allah turns your pain into elevation, your humiliation into honor, and your tears into strength. When Allah fights your battles, you don't just win, you rise. May Allah grant us patience when we are tested, strength when we are hurt, and certainty that He is always enough for us. Ameen. There are moments in life when you feel the urge to defend yourself immediately. Someone speaks against you, spreads rumors about you, questions your intentions, or even attacks your character. Your heart begins to race, your mind starts building arguments, and your ego demands that you respond. You want to prove them wrong. You want to protect your name. You want to fight back. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this really your battle to fight-eyed? Not every battle is yours to fight. Sometimes we enter wars that were never meant for us, and in doing so we lose our peace, our focus, and even our dignity. We think that by responding to every accusation, we are showing strength. But in reality, constantly defending yourself against every critic is a sign that you are seeking validation from people instead of security from Allah. There is a difference between standing up for justice and reacting out of ego. When your intention is to protect truth in a wise and calm manner, that is noble. But when your reaction is driven by anger, pride, or the fear of what people will think, then you are fighting the wrong battle. Allah sees what people say about you. Allah hears what they whisper behind closed doors. Allah knows the truth of your heart even when the world misunderstands you. So why exhaust yourself trying to control narratives that are already under His control? Many times, the more you try to defend yourself, the more fuel you give to the fire. Arguments grow, misunderstandings deepen, hearts become harder, And in the end, you are left drained and frustrated. But when you step back with dignity and say, Allah is sufficient for me, something powerful happens. You remove yourself from the chaos and place your trust in the one who never loses. The believer understands that reputation is in the hands of Allah. You can try your best to clarify, but you cannot control people's hearts. Some people will misunderstand you no matter how clear you are. Some people will dislike you no matter how kind you are. So why fight a battle that no amount of words can win? There were times in your life when you wanted to respond strongly, but you stayed silent. And later, Allah exposed the truth without you saying a single word. Reflect on those moments. Reflect on how situations resolved in ways you could never have arranged yourself. That was not coincidence. That was divine protection. Stepping back does not mean you are weak. It means you are wise. It means you value your peace more than proving a point. It means you trust that Allah's justice is more complete than your argument. When you fight every battle, you live in constant stress. But when you choose your battles carefully and leave the rest to Allah, you live with inner calm. You sleep better. You worship better. You focus on growth instead of grudges. Ask yourself, is responding going to bring me closer to Allah, or is it simply satisfying my ego? Is this battle necessary for justice, or is it just noise? Sometimes silence is not surrender. Sometimes silence is not surrender. Sometimes silence is strength. Sometimes silence is faith. Remember, if Allah wants to defend you, He will defend you in ways beyond your imagination. He can change hearts overnight. He can reveal hidden truths. He can raise your status while others attempt to lower it. So the next time you are attacked unfairly, breathe, make dua, check your intentions. Do what is right if action is required, but do not fight battles that belong to Allah. Protect your energy, protect your heart, protect your relationship with your Creator. Because when you step aside from unnecessary battles, you make room for Allah to fight for you. And when He takes over, victory is no longer uncertain. It is guaranteed in the way that is best for you. Patience is not just about waiting. It is about how you wait. It is about what you do while you are waiting. It is about what happens inside your heart when everything outside feels unfair. When you are hurt, when you are betrayed, when you are misunderstood, your natural reaction is to defend yourself, to complain, to demand immediate justice. But the believer understands that patience is not weakness. Patience is an invitation for divine help. Sabr is powerful because it shifts the matter from your limited ability to Allah's unlimited power. The moment you choose patience over impulsive reaction, you are saying, Ya Allah, I trust your timing more than my emotions. That trust is not small. It is heavy on the scale of faith. Many people think patience means doing nothing. That is not true. Patience means controlling your tongue when it wants to lash out. It means controlling your hands when they want to retaliate. It means controlling your thoughts when they begin to assume the worst. It is active restraint for the sake of Allah. When you are patient, you are not ignoring the pain. You are managing it with faith. You feel the hurts, but you refuse to let it turn you into someone you are not. You refuse to let someone else's wrongdoing push you into wrongdoing. That is strength. Then real strength is not overpowering someone else. It is overpowering your own anger. There are moments when injustice feels unbearable. You might think, if I don't defend myself, no one will. But Allah is Allah, Adil, the most just. He does not ignore oppression. He does not forget tears shed in the darkness of the night. When you choose patience for His sake, you are placing your case in the hands of the best judge. Sometimes divine help does not come instantly, and that delay is part of the test. Because patience is not proven in comfort. It is proven in hardship. Anyone can say they trust Allah when things are easy. But when your name is being attacked, when your heart is breaking, when doors seem closed, and you still say Allah is sufficient for me, that is when patience becomes powerful. Think about how many times you reacted quickly in the past and later regretted it. Words you wish you could take back, decisions made in anger, relationships damaged because emotions took control. Patience protects you from regret. It allows you to respond with wisdom instead of reacting with heat. And here is the beauty of it. When you show patience, Allah strengthens you internally before He changes anything externally. He gives you calmness. He gives you clarity. He gives you dignity. And sometimes while you are focusing on controlling yourself, Allah is already arranging solutions you cannot see. Patience also purifies your intentions. When you hold back for Allah, you are not seeking people's praise. You are not trying to look superior. You are doing it because you know Allah sees you. That sincerity attracts divine support. There are battles that are won, not by shouting, but by steady faith, not by revenge, but by resilience, not by immediate response, but by enduring. NG with trust. And often when the storm passes, you realize that patience protected you from becoming like those who hurt you. So when you are tested, do not rush. Slow down your tongue. Slow down your reaction. Increase your dua. Increase your sujood. Let your patience speak louder than your anger, because every moment of sabr is recorded. Every tear is counted. Every restraint is rewarded. And when Allah sends His help, it comes in ways that heal more than just the situation. It strengthens your heart, elevates your rank, and reminds you that patience was never a loss. It was the key that unlocked divine support all along. There are times in life when things simply do not make sense. You plan carefully, you make sincere dua, you put in effort, and yet the outcome is completely different from what you expected. Doors close, people disappoint you. Opportunities slip away, and you are left wondering why it is in these very moments that tawakkul is tested. Tawakkul is more than saying, I trust Allah. It is living that trust when logic seems to say otherwise. It is believing that even when you cannot see the full picture, Allah sees what you cannot. It is understanding that your knowledge is limited, but His knowledge is perfect. We often trust what we can calculate. If the numbers look good, we feel confident. If people support us, we feel secure. If the path seems clear, we move forward boldly. But what happens when the numbers do not add up? When support disappears? When the path becomes dark? That is when true reliance begins. Tawakkul is not passive. Does not mean you sit back and expect miracles without effort. You tie your camel, you work hard, you make plans. But after doing your part, you release the anxiety of the outcome. You understand that results are not in your control. They never were. Sometimes Allah removes something from your life that you were desperately holding on to. A relationship ends. A job opportunity vanishes. A plan collapses. From your perspective, it feels like loss. From Allah's perspective, it may be protection. But because we are attached to what we see, we struggle to trust what we cannot see. Real tawakkul means saying, Ya Allah, even if this hurts, I believe you are choosing better for me. That statement is not easy. It requires humility. It requires surrender. It requires letting go of the illusion that you know what is best for yourself. There are battles that you cannot win through strategy alone. You may try to defend your reputation, fix every misunderstanding, control every outcome. But there comes a point where you realize that you are limited. You cannot control hearts. You cannot control timing. You cannot control unseen factors. That realization is not defeat. It is the doorway to reliance. When you truly rely on Allah, fear decreases. Anxiety softens because you understand that whatever happens was allowed by the one who loves you more than you love yourself. Even delays have wisdom. Even setbacks have purpose. Look back at your life. Think of moments when something you wanted did not happen. At the time you felt disappointed, maybe even devastated. But later you realized that if it had happened, it would have led you somewhere worse, or it would have distracted you from something better. That was tawakkul in action, even if you did not recognize it then. Trusting Allah beyond logic means you do not measure success only by immediate results. You measure success by obedience. If you made your decision in a halal way with sincerity, seeking Allah's pleasure, then you have already succeeded regardless of the outcome. Tawakkul also frees you from being enslaved to people's opinions. When your reliance is on Allah, you are not shaken by every criticism. You are not inflated by every compliment. You are steady because your anchor is not human approval, it is divine support. This does not mean you will not feel pain. Even the strongest believers feel sadness. But beneath that sadness is certainty. Beneath that confusion is calm. A deep, quiet conviction that Allah is managing your affairs in ways you cannot yet understand. So when logic tells you this is impossible, remember that Allah is not limited by possibility. When circumstances say there is no way, remember that Allah creates ways where none seem to exist. When your plans collapse, remember that perhaps they were small compared to what Allah is preparing. Let your heart rest in this truth. You are not alone in your battles. You are not navigating life by yourself. Place your effort forward and place your trust upward. Because when tawakkul is real, outcomes no longer define you. Your reliance does. And that reliance connects you to a strength far greater than your own. There are moments when someone hurts you so deeply that your first instinct is to respond immediately. You want to correct them, expose them, embarrass them the way they embarrassed you. Your ego whispers, if you stay silent, they will think you are weak. Your anger pushes you to react quickly, sharply, publicly. But sometimes silence is stronger than revenge. Not every response needs to be spoken. Not every insult deserves your energy. Not every accusation requires your defense. When you react to every provocation, you allow others to control your emotions. But when you choose silence with dignity, you take that control back. Silence is not always surrender. Sometimes silence is confidence. It is the calm of someone who knows that their worth is not defined by someone else's opinion. It is the strength of someone who trusts that truth does not need constant noise to survive. Revenge feels powerful in the moment. It gives you a temporary sense of satisfaction. You may feel like you have balanced the scale. But look deeper. What does revenge actually produce? More anger, more hostility, more division. Rarely does it bring peace to the heart. Silence, on the other hand, protects your heart. It prevents you from saying words you will later regret. It stops you from lowering yourself to the same level as the one who hurt you. When you choose silence for the sake of Allah, you are not ignoring injustice. You are choosing a higher path. There is a difference between standing firm for justice and reacting out of wounded pride. If something must be addressed, address it with wisdom and calmness. But if your response is fueled by ego, it will only increase the fire. Many conflicts continue not because the problem is large, but because both sides refuse to step back. Think about how many arguments could have ended if one person chose silence. How many relationships could have been saved if someone swallowed their anger? How many regrets could have been avoided if harsh words were never spoken? When you remain silent in the face of provocation, it unsettles those who expected a reaction. They may have prepared themselves for a fight. They may have anticipated drama, but your calm response, or even your lack of response, disarms them. Silence also creates space for reflection. When you do not rush to retaliate, you give yourself time to think clearly. You ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Is this worth my akira? Often when emotions settle, you realize that what felt urgent was not truly important. Choosing silence does not mean you suppress your feelings forever. It means you process them in a healthier way. You turn to Allah instead of turning against people. You make dua instead of making threats. You cry in sujud instead of arguing in public. There is immense strength in walking away from unnecessary conflict. It takes discipline to hold your tongue when you have the perfect comeback ready. It takes maturity to let go when you have every opportunity to strike back. But that discipline elevates you. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is no statement at all. Let your character speak. Let your consistency speak. Let your integrity speak. Over time, truth has a way of rising, even if it was buried for a while. And remember, when you choose silence for the sake of Allah, you are not losing. You are investing. You are investing in your peace, in your dignity, in your reward with Allah. Because He sees the restraint. He sees the struggle inside you. He sees the words you wanted to say, but held back. In a world that glorifies loud reactions, be the one who chooses composed silence. In a culture that encourages revenge, be the one who chooses restraint. Because sometimes the greatest victory is not defeating someone else. It is defeating the urge to respond in a way that would distance you from Allah. And that kind of silence is not weakness, it is worship. There is a powerful promise that brings comfort to every believer's heart. Allah defends those who believe. This is not poetry. It is not wishful thinking. It is a divine reality. When you carry faith in your heart and sincerity in your actions, you are never alone in your struggles. You may feel isolated. You may feel surrounded by opposition. But unseen by you, Allah is protecting, arranging and defending in ways beyond your imagination. Belief is not just words on the tongue. It is trust in the heart and obedience in action. And when that belief is genuine, Allah's support accompanies it. Sometimes that support comes as strength during hardship. Sometimes it comes as clarity during confusion. And sometimes it comes as protection from harm you never even knew was coming. There are moments when people try to harm you with words, with lies, with schemes. They may smile in your face, but carry envy in their hearts. They may attempt to block your progress or damage your reputation. From your perspective, it feels threatening. But from a higher perspective, their plans are fragile. When Allah defends you, He does not always do it in ways you immediately recognize. He may distance you from toxic people before they can hurt you further. He may expose someone's dishonesty at the right time without you having to lift a finger. He may turn what was meant to damage you into a reason for your growth. Sometimes the defense is internal. Instead of removing the storm, Allah strengthens your heart within it. Instead of silencing your critics, He increases your patience. Instead of changing people immediately, He changes you first, making you wiser, calmer, and more grounded. We often think defense means eliminating all difficulty. But sometimes defense means limiting the impact of difficulty. You might have faced a situation that could have destroyed you emotionally or spiritually. Yet somehow you survived it. You healed, you learned, you became stronger. That was Allah defending you. There are also times when the one who wronged you appears to be winning. They seem successful. They seem unbothered. And you may wonder, where is justice? But justice is not always immediate. Allah's defense is not rushed. It is precise. It comes at the right time, in the right way, with the right wisdom. As believers, our responsibility is to remain sincere, to avoid becoming unjust ourselves, to resist responding to wrongdoing with more wrongdoing. Because when you maintain integrity, you qualify yourself for divine support. But when you abandon your principles out of anger, you weaken your own position. Belief connects you to the most powerful. Think about that. The creator of the heavens and the earth, the one who controls every heart, every event, every outcome, He is your protector. What greater security can there be? That does not mean you never take action. This does not mean you never take action. If something requires a lawful, wise response, you do so. But your heart does not depend on your strategy alone. Your heart depends on Allah. You make effort, but you trust Him with the result. There is deep peace in knowing that you do not need to fight every battle alone. You do not need to defend your honor in every conversation. You do not need to chase every rumor. Allah is sufficient. And when He is sufficient, you are protected in ways you may never fully comprehend. Perhaps one day you will look back and realize how many times Allah shielded you, how many plots failed, how many harms were reduced, how many doors opened after others closed. So strengthen your belief, guard your prayers, keep your intentions pure. Because when your faith is sincere, you are under divine protection. And when Allah defends you, no force can truly overpower you. You may be tested, but you are not abandoned. You may be challenged, but you are not unprotected. Allah defends those who believe, and that promise is enough to calm any fearful heart. Victory is something we all long for. When we are hurt, we want to see justice. When we are oppressed, we want to see relief. When we are struggling, we want to see success. But often we define victory in a very narrow way. We think victory means immediate results, public recognition, or visible defeat of those who wronged us. Yet the reality is that true victory often comes in unexpected ways. Sometimes you pray for the situation to change, but instead Allah changes you. He strengthens your patience. He increases your wisdom. He softens your heart. And while you were focused on external outcomes, the real victory was happening within you. You became stronger, calmer, and more connected to your Creator. That internal transformation is a victory no one can take away. There are times when you expect your enemies to fall, but instead Allah removes them quietly from your life. No dramatic confrontation, no public apology. They simply fade away. Doors close, distances grow, and suddenly the source of your stress is no longer present. That too is victory, subtle but powerful. At times, victory does not look like gaining something. It looks like losing something. You may lose a job you thought you needed. You may lose a relationship you were attached to. You may lose an opportunity you worked hard for. In that moment, it feels like defeat. But later, you discover that what you lost was actually protecting you from something greater. What seemed like a setback was actually redirection. We often measure victory by comparison. We want to see ourselves ahead of others. But Allah's measure of success is different. Sometimes the greatest victory is protecting your faith in the middle of hardship. Sometimes it is resisting the temptation to respond with injustice. Sometimes it is walking away from sin, even when it seems beneficial in the short term. Victory can also come through elevation of status. You may be humiliated today, but that humiliation pushes you closer to Allah. You cry in sujood more sincerely than ever before. You call upon Him with a broken heart, and that brokenness raises you in ways comfort never could. Years later, you realize that the pain you wished away was the very thing that built your character. Unexpected victory also teaches humility. When Allah grants you success in a way you did not plan, you recognize that it was not your intelligence alone. It was not your strategy alone. It was divine mercy. That awareness protects you from arrogance. It keeps you grateful. There are moments when you think you have lost because you did not win publicly. But in the sight of Allah, maintaining your integrity was the true win. Holding on to your salah when everything felt heavy was the true win. Choosing forgiveness when revenge was easy was the true win. Wished was easy was the true win by crowds. Sometimes it is quiet peace in your heart after months of anxiety. Sometimes it is closure without explanation. Sometimes it is moving forward without bitterness. Trust that Allah's definition of victory is more complete than yours. What you see is only a small portion of the picture. He sees the beginning and the end. He knows which outcomes will bring you closer to Him and which ones might distance you. So when you feel like you are losing, pause before you label it as defeat. Ask yourself, what is Allah teaching me? What is He protecting me from? What is He preparing me for? Because when Allah fights your battles, victory does not always arrive in the way you expected, but when it arrives, it is better, deeper, and all lasting than anything you could have planned yourself. And that kind of victory is worth every moment of patience. My beloved brothers and sisters, as we reflect on all that has been said, remember this powerful truth. You were never meant to carry every burden alone. There are battles in your life that feel overwhelming, unfair, and exhausting. There are moments when you are misunderstood, attacked, or silently hurt. But through all of it, Allah is never unaware, never absent, and never unjust. Not every battle is yours to fight. Some battles are invitations to grow in patience. Some are lessons in silence and restraint. Some are opportunities to strengthen your reliance upon Allah. And some are pathways to a victory that you cannot yet see. When you choose sabr over reaction, you are choosing strength. When you choose tawakkul over anxiety, you are choosing peace. When you choose silence over revenge, you are choosing dignity. And when you hold firmly onto your faith, while others attempt to shake you, you are positioning yourself under divine protection. Understand that Allah defends those who believe. He protects in ways you recognize and in ways you never notice. He delays justice not because He ignores you, but because His timing is perfect. He grants victory not always in the form you expect, but in the form that benefits your dunya and your akhirah. Perhaps today you are in the middle of a battle. Perhaps your heart feels heavy. Perhaps you are tired of explaining yourself, tired of being patient, tired of waiting. Hold on a little longer. Strengthen your connection with Allah. Guard your prayers. Purify your intentions. Leave what you cannot control to the one who controls everything. Because when Allah fights your battles, outcomes are not random. They are precise, they are wise, they are merciful. You may not always see the victory immediately, but if you remain sincere, patient, and trusting, you will realize one day that what felt like struggle was actually elevation. What felt like delay was actually protection. What felt like loss was actually preparation. So walk forward with calmnesses in your heart. Let go of unnecessary fights. Protect your character more than your reputation. Trust Allah more than your fears. And remember, when He takes over your battle, no force can truly defeat you. May Allah grant us hearts that trust Him completely, tongues that remain patient, and souls that find peace in His plan. Ameen. Thank you, everyone.